All right, welcome back to another episode of the Passion in Motion podcast. I am your guy, Mutsa, and today's a little different from my other regular episodes. As you can see, you just have me today, no guest. I decided to take this week just to make an episode and talk about my why, talk about my personal journey so far in the podcast space, in the content creation space, just how things are going this year, and just kind of reflect and talk about what I want for the future of this podcast, and honestly speaking, just for myself. So that's kind of the vibe of this episode, episode 22 actually. So, we've been going for 22 weeks straight. I've had a guest for 21 episodes straight. So you know what? I think I'm happy about that. I'm very proud of that. So, that's why I decided, I think I do need an episode where I can really talk about my journey and why we're here. So, anyway, so let's just kind of get started with that. So, the reasons why, well, the major reason why I really started this podcast was because, as you may all know, I've talked about this briefly in other episodes as well, but as you may all know, like, with Trump coming into power in January, and, I used to work as a consultant for a company based in DC, and I've been working with them for some years now. And because of Trump and everything, and the Doge cuts and USAID being defunded and all these things that happened, I lost my consultant's job, right? And that's not a story that's only unique to me. A lot of people lost their jobs in the federal government, in the consulting space, in the development space, like so many people across the world, actually, not just in America, but across the world, everywhere. So many people's lives have been changed irreparably, to be honest. A lot of people lost their jobs. And so we're all like just in this space of just trying to see what's the next step, because unfortunately, because of the destruction of the whole industry, it's not as if you just lost your job and you can apply to somewhere else. Like, it's not like you lost your job at DAI and you can apply to a job at Chemonix, or you lost your job here and you can apply here. Nah, it's none of that. It's more like you lost your job, and the stuff you've been able to do for so long is no longer possible. That's just kind of how it's been, and it's been really, really unfortunate, really hard for a lot of people, because people have been working these jobs or in this industry for, what can you say, like 20 plus years, some 10 years, 15 years, a range of years, but a long time. And now you're in a situation where all that experience can't be easily moved to another industry, right? So that's just the unfortunate scenario in which a lot of people find themselves in. So one of the reasons, again, so to come back to why I started this podcast, is because I know there's a lot of people out there who are just like me, hurting just like me, and I wanted to create a space in which people could tell their stories, tell their professional journeys into what they were doing, because the fact that the industry was destroyed, it means that people now, their work that they've been doing for so long couldn't, it didn't have anywhere to go now at this point, to be honest. It's like you did such amazing work in this place with these people, and now that work is basically non-existent, right? And so I was like, I really want to create a space where people can talk about the amazing work they did. People can come on here and vent as well, speak about their frustration, speak about their experience, and also just to come together as well. Like, just have this podcast as a library of all the amazing work that individuals did in their professional journey in the development industry space. That was the main reason. I was like, I really want to have a space to talk to people just like me who've been affected by everything and just want a chance to speak out and lay out everything, and just hopefully seek comfort and create a community, or create like an understanding that, hey, we're all in this together, because you know it's all of us, it's a lot of people. But unfortunately, this process, this thing that happened, can just feel like it's you, right? It can just feel like, man, it's very personal, and everyone's kind of dealing with personal different things, because there's some people in different situations. Some people were married, some people were not. Some people had children, some people not. Some people had young children. Some people like older children that have moved on. Some people, both partners worked in the development space, and both of you lost your jobs. So it's like so many different nuances to everyone's experience. But the major reason is I just wanted people to feel like, hey, there's a lot of other people out there who are dealing with the same thing as me, and we can support one another and we can hold each other in an embrace and just say, hey, let's just try and move forward, and you're not alone. So anyway, that was one of the major reasons why I decided to start this podcast. And as time went on, I had my first episode with Janina. I'm really appreciative of her reaching out and saying, hey, I would love to be on this podcast, and being my first guest. That was all the way back in March. So, and ever since March, I've just been able to just keep going and meet new people, and just interview people, and it's been such an amazing journey. I can't, like, I feel so honored to have met and spoken with all these people that have managed to, because after Janina, I spoke with some coaches I spoke with Susan, I spoke with Dan, and these are career coaches, and they gave some really, really great tips about how people can move forward in this new space, and like how they can apply for jobs, how they can leverage the skills that they had in new industries, how to position yourself well. And so that was really the main focus. But as I kept going, as the more I thought to myself, I want to have this as a library to help people progress in their professional journeys, pivot and all that stuff. But also, there's so many other careers out there. I like to think of myself as a creative person. I like to dip my hands in different things. So I was like, you know what? I would also love to talk to a pilot and hear about their professional journey being a pilot. I'd also love to talk to someone who works in the circus. Like, yo, tell me what's your journey been like to get involved in circus work? I want to talk to a vet. I want to talk to a doctor. I want to talk to, someone who works in the DEI space. I want to talk to someone who worked at Disney, things like that, just to kind of gauge and understand different people's professional journeys and careers in their life, because that's exciting to me. And also, I feel like that served as a way that you can do anything. So if you were like, I talked to some people where they worked in the development space, but they have other talents, they had other interests. So I also wanted to show that, what, you can still go out and do that. You were working in development for 15 years, but you also love dance. What if you become a Roomba instructor? Just take that path forward. What if you become a Pilates instructor? What if you become, I don't know, you could start your work in animation. You could start learning how to do animation if that's something you've always liked to do. For me personally, growing up, I always wanted to be a cartoonist. I love cartoons. I love animation. I love drawing. I had a knack for drawing as well. But, that's not something it's not a typical job, especially coming from an African background. It's not like a typical job. You don't even know where to start. I don't even know how many schools are there that center on artistic endeavors like that. Like, there were cartoons, like in Zimbabwe, for example. There were Zimbabwean cartoons, but I didn't know how does one even get in that? It's not a really like a well-known industry, right? But they're out there. So, but, so that passion of mine got stifled just because of things like that. And, maybe not as much encouragement to be like, oh, Mutse, you know what? Pursue this cartoonist venture of yours. So now I'm in a space where like, oh, it's a much more wider known industry now. People find a lot of success working at DreamWorks, working at Pixar, working at all these places, right? And so it's definitely possible to now become a successful person in animation, right? So it's like, if maybe right now, if I really wanted to, start a new journey in that, I could, maybe start training on that. But anyway, it's just things like that I can now get into it, right? I have the option because, fortunately, unfortunately, all these job cuts really forced people to stop and think about what's the next move forward. What do I do next? And that's such a scary, scary, scary place, because it wasn't an intentional stoppage, right? These things happen outside of your control. And at the end of the day, life is moving and moving very quickly. Cost of living is so high right now, right? So many other things happening in the world. So to take time and to sit down and think about what the next step is scary, because number one, depending on your situation, you need to make money quickly. So it's like, okay, what do I need to just do right now to make my money? Like, what, sometimes you don't even have the time to think. You're like, okay, so the kids still need to be fed, bills still need to be paid, I'm by myself, or, kids need to go to college, all these things all these pressures that people have. And, so different, some people didn't, some people did, just different. But anyway, the stress is still there for everyone in general. Like, okay, how do I move forward? Because at the end of the day, everybody wants to make money, everybody wants to make a living. But when all these has been stripped from you, it's like, man, was there even enough time to grieve? Like, if you went to school, you did your undergrad, you did your master's, some people did their PhD, some people did a second master's. You've invested money and time into your work, into your industry. You had goals. You were a director, you wanted to make it to another high position. You were, a strategist, you want to make it to manage, so like you had all these goals and you're setting up your path. You made all these relationships with all these people, and now it's gone. You need to grieve that, right? You need to like take time and say, oh man, that's a future that's no longer possible. And you've been working so much for it, right? So it can be very deflating. So to those people who felt those feelings, just know that I see you, and it's very understandable to have felt those things. And also coping with the pressures of the world, right? You can't just sit and cry in your house for weeks on end. You still need to be able to take care of yourself, take care of your family. So, and then now what do you do next? So it's just been such a tough thing to handle and to get by. So I totally get it. And so many strong people are out there making it work. A lot of resilient people, just pick yourself up and go again. But not to say that's everyone's journey. Some people, it's still taking a long time to process everything, and that's all okay, right? So that's just kind of where we're all at. So, for me, I've always loved podcasting. I've been podcasting for a few years now, and I thought, you know what? This is my time to really invest in this podcast space. This is my time to really sit down and do it, and full force, both feet in. That I was like, that's what I should do, right? And in my situation, I've supported, different people, in the last few years to get where they want to get to. And I didn't really have the time, all these responsibilities stop you from pursuing your passion projects. Unfortunately, that's just how it goes for all of us. You love to dance, but hey, you need to also, you have responsibilities, and dance might not bring you the money you need right now. So you're going to put it to the side. You love to draw, you love art, you love animation, you love to sing, all these things, but you put it on the back burner because, hey, responsibilities need to be taken care of. So that's just the unfortunate thing of it. So I was like, you know what? I've put this aside for a long time. Why not start now when I've been put in this position that is forcing me to figure out what's next? So let me do this. But again, like, that's a conversation that I had to navigate with my wife, right? And just family and stuff, because at the end of the day, I'm not just by myself. I have people that are with me. And fortunately enough, my wife was not in the same industry as I was, so she's able to keep going and do what she does, and it's been great as a more like a safety net for me to also just pursue what I want to pursue. But it comes with its own challenges, and I know that a lot of people out there, couples, families, are all navigating similar things in terms of like just interpersonal relationships as well, because they get affected. They get really, really affected by these things. You lose your job, right? And let's say you're the breadwinner of the house. You lose your job. What now? Right? How do you move? And so it's like you're dealing with your own stuff. Your partner is also now like having to be there for you, but also dealing with life's pressures, and it's all these things. And if it just needs both of you to sit down and really just figure out what's the next move forward. But I know it's not an easy thing, right? Especially for people who now pursue their passion projects that don't guarantee a financial gain immediately, right? Podcasting and YouTube don't bring money in immediately, unfortunately. So it's just one of those things where it's like, dang, I really want to do this, but I also really want to make money. How do you manage that? So that's also the balance that everyone has had to take, and like, again, conversations with your partner, like, okay, if I'm not earning money and it's just you are the sole breadwinner of the house, how long can we keep going until we get to a place where you're not earning money? How far can we take this? And everyone's situation is different. Some people have a partner who's earning enough to take care of everything for a long time. So maybe that's one way. Some people, it's impossible to be a one income household and you need to be back at work immediately to be able to have things functioning. So people's situations are different too. But again, it's what do you do, right? Like, where do you go? And the jobs that are out there right now, the job market is so terrible. It's so hard to get a job right now. It's so difficult, especially with the AI stuff, right? A lot of people have had to navigate, how do I apply for jobs? And with this AI thing, because like a lot of companies are now using AIs to sieve through CVs and resumes, so you have to kind of pass the first stage is passing the AI screening, right? The AI will screen your resume, pick up keywords, and then it'll be like, if you have the keywords necessary, it'll be like, okay, then it moves your application forward to an actual person, right? That's the stage. But a lot of people don't know what the keywords. Sometimes it's like, okay, how many keywords do you include? How do you go about it? So it's been hard to also navigate AI and how best to position yourself with the AI, you know? So that's just another thing that you have to contend with. Also, you are competing with a large number of people who've also been laid off. So it's not like just everyone's got a job and you're just trying to figure something out. No, a large group of people are vying for the same jobs you are. So on top of AI, you're fighting competition from your peers. So it's like all these things are stacked against you, right? It's like, man, how do you win? How do you position yourself? What do you do? And that's so hard. And I know some people just have not been able to find a job. Some people have been looking for a year plus, right? In general, like the job market is so bad. And you could even go through the interview process. Okay, you pass the AI stage. Now you go to talking to a person and you go through like 3, 4, 5 interviews, right? And then nothing happens. They say, oh, we went with a better candidate. That's the worst part of it, right? Like you're going through all these interview stages and you still don't make it and you've invested your time. And it's so deflating as well to just keep applying. Applying for jobs is one of the most strenuous things that anyone can do, especially for like a long period of time. Like it's so hard. And I feel like it's never come at a worse time. This is the worst time to be on the job market looking for a job. The worst time. So I understand that it's hard for a lot of people out there, and just you gotta keep pushing. At the end of the day, you just have to keep pushing. So anyway, all that to say, it's hard. All that to say, I understand. And for me, with this podcast, I just said, you know what? I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm at the mercy of things that are not in my control, right? Like losing your job and now having to figure things out and all this stuff. Like I really just want to have something of myself that I can work on and build, right? And that was podcasting and YouTubing. And I love talking to people. That's my passion. I love interacting and having conversations with individuals. I love it. That gives me life. It gives me energy. So I was like, I'm gonna do that. And I've been doing it, right? And it's been phenomenal. It's been awesome. But the other side of it is, again, YouTube is such a hellscape, you know, in the sense that it's hard. So the way YouTube works is that you have to get 1,000 subscribers first to even get monetized. 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, right? That first 1,000 is so difficult, right? For example, like with my own YouTube, I've been doing this since March. And so far, I have 64 subscribers. And I need to get to 1,000. I appreciate all the people that have subscribed and those who watch. Thank you so much. Like, it gives me so much energy in life when people subscribe to my, because they're like, oh, you know, someone's really looking at my stuff and they like it and they want to see more. So to those people that have subscribed, thank you so much. And if you're watching this and you really understand everything I'm saying and you sympathize with everything I'm saying, please do also subscribe. Like, and you know, just share in the comments as well and stuff like that. It really helps, because at the end of the day, I really want to get to a place where I can make money from my YouTube. I want to make money from this too, right? Like I do also need to have some financial gain as well, and that's part of the reasons. I can't lie and say, oh, I don't care about the money. I do. I do care about making money. But at the same time, I do care about making connections, having great conversations, because my podcast, the main aim is to help and give tips and encourage and different things and to educate, to inform. I've had so many great episodes where I'm like, I want people to gain something. I want it to be of value. I just don't want to put stuff out that doesn't matter, right? That's why I spoke to someone to talk about their postpartum experience, so that when other women are pregnant and going through childbirth, they can have a resource to look at, like, oh, this is what this person went through, and they can learn something from that. You know what I mean? Like, that's the stuff. I talked to a male therapist talking about men's mental health in the modern day and how men can do better and what they can do, and find ways to manage things and just like seek help if they need to. I've had that episode at the end of the day as well. You know what I mean? So these are episodes that I really want people to also like gain something from at the end of the day. I want people to also like learn something. That's the important piece. But at the end of the day, that content also takes time to get set off, right? Because it's not like the clickbaity content that can get 1,000 views or whatever. It takes time. So anyway, I just have to keep pushing with that. Watch hours, I think I'm still like around the 40-50 watch hours or something like that. I'm also building the watch hours and stuff like that. So anyways, but then like even with the YouTube thing, right? I see a lot of people out there, and my sister's also been informing me of stuff. Like, even when you do get over the 1,000 subscribers, the 4,000 watch hours, and you do get monetized, the money is so low. Like, I don't know how much YouTubers are making, but you could get a few thousand views and a few thousand subscribers, and you might not even be able to make more than $200, from that. Like, that's the other piece of it too, where it's like even the money, once you start making the money, it's low. It's not high enough. And it's not, you're not going to be making money like the Mr. Beasts or the I Show Speed people, or like, all these other big YouTubers. I don't know what they get paid from the YouTube, but I know it's a lot of like brand sponsorships as well that helps, working with brands. That's like, a way that people make money and stuff. But just from YouTube alone, I don't know if the money's actually like that great. So all these things somewhat like they're quite discouraging. I have to be honest. I have been quite discouraged a lot of the times, because it's like, okay, I keep doing this, but where is it gonna end? What's the end goal? I'm not really gonna make money from this for some time. The world is moving. I have my own goals. I have things that I want to do one day. I want to have children one day, right? And I'm gonna need to have a good financial backing, a good financial pot to be able to take care of a family and all that stuff. I can't do this forever and just hope that something happens, right? So that's also the other side of it, where it's like you wake up every day and just think to yourself, man, why do I keep doing this? Why am I pushing myself with this thing, and am I not resulting in anything? Should I just stop? I have that conversation with myself pretty much every day. Pretty much every day. I have to be completely honest with that. Like, pretty much every single day I have that conversation with myself. And it's, yeah, I mean, but what I will say is that what keeps me going is the conversations that happen around my podcast. Because at the end of the day, I still find value in speaking to the people that I've spoken with, making these connections. These are people that I feel like I'm connected to now as well. And I know that there's some people who've watched my episodes and they have felt something. They have gained something from it. They've told me personally, like, hey, the episode you did with this person really resonated with me, and I really like that episode. Hearing people say that gives me energy, gives me life. It gives me reassurance that what I'm doing has value. And I can't stop. I don't want to fail myself either, because that's the other piece of it too, right? Where it's like, if I do stop this podcast, I will honestly feel like I have failed myself, because I didn't stick through my passion. I let the pressures of the world take me away again from the passion that I have for myself, you know. And I know for a fact that working a 9 to 5 is not something that's going to feed my soul. It can feed the family, but it won't feed my soul. You know what I mean? So that's another big fear of mine, that I will feel like a failure if I do stop as well and just don't do it. So it's been hard to also navigate that personally, to like, what's the end goal? What's the, you know, what's the manageable in between? You know, people say, okay, Munsa, like, work a part-time job and then do a podcast on the side, which is fair and fine. But again, job market's terrible. Finding a part-time job is not easy, right? That's the honest truth. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's out. I've tried to look what's out there, but it's really like, you know, you send an application, nothing, you hear from, you know, you don't hear anything back. So, and then full time, I know that once I do start working full time at something, like let's say I do get a full time job, my podcast is something that's not going to survive that. Unfortunately, I feel like I just won't have the bandwidth to keep pushing. I mean, hopefully I'll find it. But again, that's another fear, is that if I do get that full time, the podcast dies and I'll feel like a failure again at that. And that's a hard thing to think about, right? That's a very hard thing to, yeah. So, but you know, you just have to keep pushing and see what the world is saying, and like, just, you know, figure things out, take it day by day. So far, I really feel like I enjoy what I'm doing, and I feel like I'm gaining some value in my conversations with people and all the stuff that I've been doing. And I can't think too much about the future. I'm thinking about it, but at the same time, I just have to trust the process. I think that's also what I keep telling myself every day. Trust the process. It's gonna work out in some way, you know? But I ain't gonna lie, the work is hard. It's hard to make content that people feel connected to and want to keep watching. It's hard to stay on top of, okay, you make the video. Now you gotta make the reels. Now you gotta make the shorts. Put it on TikTok, put it on Instagram, put it on LinkedIn. Just to get people to, you know, watch your things. And you do all that, and it sometimes just doesn't go anywhere. You know, you keep doing it, you get some views, but it's not like feeding back to the podcast, right? And it's like, man, like, what more can one do? I feel like there are so many other things that I could probably try. I'm not sure, but I've tried a lot of stuff, and I just have to keep trying and doing. And I think from what I've seen from other people, the biggest word is consistency. You have to be consistent. I also have followed a lot of people's journeys and stories. You know, if you look at like the Kevin Hart's and comedy, like, he grinded so hard going to all these different comedy spots, Philadelphia, all these places where, you know, he wasn't the best, and he's learning. And a lot of people just don't blow up. But you know, consistency puts you in a position where you can meet opportunity, right? And that's the next thing I want to talk about. My hopes for the podcast and why I also keep going. My dream, essentially, is that I will have a conversation one day with somebody, and somebody else watches that conversation, and they say, you know what? That guy knows what he's doing. I like what he's doing. I wanna hire him to either be a host or to work for the company as something, as a creative. I don't know. But somebody will see something in me from that conversation that I have with somebody else, and they reach out and they want to do something and work. And that's what sets me off, right? Or that's what finally brings some financial gain on my side of things. That's one hope. Another hope is that, yeah, the person that I'm speaking to is like, hey, I really like this conversation. I want you to meet so-and-so to work on this thing. And boom, it becomes something else, right? Like, the dream would be either to like host something on TV as a host, or to have more famous guests on the podcast to talk about their life and their journeys and stuff like that, and like it grows into a really good platform. That's my dream, that the conversations that I have with people lead to something more, something that I didn't even think about, something that I didn't even anticipate or expect. That's the hope. You never know. Trevor Noah could be watching my YouTube, right? And he's like, you know what? I've been looking for somebody else as well to have on my platform. And he invites me to be on his platform. And now I'm in a space where I'm working with Trevor Noah. And that sets me off, right? Why not? It happens. So again, it's good to dream. It's good to have dreams. And I'm going to keep pushing because I know it'll happen in some shape or form. I know it's going to happen some way. Like, I know I'm gonna make a connection, or someone's gonna see something in me that, hey, I really like what you're doing and I think you're talented in this, because I put a lot of work in, right? Like, everything about this podcast I'm doing by myself. The recording, the editing, the postings, the marketing, everything is all me. It's all me. I don't have any help. Reaching out to guests, all these are skills that I feel like I have, right? That could be really, really, really beneficial to bigger platforms or to people's brands or to other things, right? Like the fact that this is episode 22 and it's my first solo. Since March, I've had 21 guests come on this podcast. 21 different guests come on this podcast talking about different things, right? That's all me. That's all work that I've done to say, hey, come on this podcast. Let's chat. Hey, come, people have taken their time out to speak to me. And I really appreciate that. And I'm really honored when someone says, hey, I want to be on your platform and to talk with you. For me, that's a major blessing because they don't have to. I'm not paying. I haven't paid any of my guests. I'm not paying anything. It's their time that they're using to come on the platform to talk to me. And I don't take that for granted. I'm really, really appreciative and grateful that somebody says, yes, I want to come on, and we do it, right? I don't take that for granted at all, and I'm really, really thankful that I've had that. So I'm just saying though that I've had 21 guests, and I'm gonna have more. There are more coming, right? This is something that I'm gonna keep doing and doing and doing and doing and doing. So I know that it'll work. It'll happen in some way that I have a conversation that leads to something great. I truly believe that will be the case. And if you've been following my journey, or if you start now following my journey, buckle up, because it's going to be great and it's going to be a wild ride and it's going to be fun, but it's going to take time or not, who knows? But I do think it's going to take time, and it's going to take me consistently showing up and believing in myself, believing in my content, believing that what I do has value, and keep grinding and pushing. Even though it takes a lot out of me in terms of just the strength and the stamina to keep going, because it's not easy. And it's not just like I'm just sitting and I'm not, I'm working hard every day to make this something, to make it a good platform for people. So yeah, that's just kind of been my journey. And it's been hard and but it's been fulfilling too in many ways. Yeah, I'm excited to see what's next. I really am excited to see what's next. So again, if you're listening to this and you really resonate with what I'm saying, let me know in the comments, like, if you're in the same place. Also, if you want to be a guest on the podcast, I love to just talk to people. If you feel like, hey, I want to be on your platform, reach out. Like Instagram, I'm there. TikTok, I'm there. LinkedIn, I'm there, right? Like even comment on the YouTube that, hey, I would love to be a guest, and I will reach out to you and we can figure it out. So if you really want to be on the platform too, please, my podcast is open to anybody. Let's have the conversation. So that's where I'm at. So, that's kind of the goal here. And thank you. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening to my why, my journey, my struggles, my hopes and dreams, and what I hope to accomplish. Thank you for making it this far and just, listening. I hope that this episode is giving you some insight into what I'm trying to do. And, if you've listened to other podcasts and my podcast and you're like, hey, your voice sounds different. Sorry, I'm a little sick. So if my voice sounds off, I'm battling a little flu, right? A little cold. So that's if my voice sounds a little funny, just as a side note. But anyway, I do appreciate everybody who's been watching. everyone who's subscribed, everyone who's liked, everyone who's shared the podcast with others. I really appreciate you. And yeah, the journey is going to be a fun one. It's going to be an exciting one. And I cannot wait to kind of see where the podcast goes. You know, we're growing steadily, 64 subscribers. You know, next time I do another solo, maybe I'm at 500. Who knows, right? And we keep going. We keep going. And hey, you know what? If you have connections to brands, link me up, hook me up, right? Like the mics, the cameras, or whatever. If you just like, hey, you know, if you see something in me that you feel like is valuable, plug me in. I'm open. I'm here and I'm open. So yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. That hey, if you see something in me and you feel like we could do something and we can work, I'm here. I'm here. You know, I'm here. I'm here, and I would love to. And I would love to. I really want any help that anybody can give me. I really would appreciate it. Yeah, I really would. I really would appreciate it. So again, yeah, I think this is enough. You will hear more of my thoughts on other podcasts for sure. So you know, watch out for that. And thank you so much again for rocking with me. So I think this is a good space, a good place to end. And yeah, once again, please do comment, like, subscribe, share with your folks. And thanks for being on this journey with me. And with that, peace out.